What if Goku became the god of destruction and creation together? Goku x Vados x Android 18. Chapter 1. Convergence of Power. The Tournament of Power arena lay in ruins. Fragments of the once massive platform drifting into the void. Only two fighters remained. Goku and Jiren. Both pushed beyond their limits, their bodies racked with exhaustion yet burning with determination. The fate of multiple universes hung in the balance. Goku's Ultra Instinct form flickered like a dying flame. The power that had allowed him to challenge a being of Jiren's caliber was fading. His mortal body unable to sustain the divine energy coursing through it. Every cell screamed in protest, but surrender wasn't in his nature. "It's over, Son Goku," Jiren stated, his deep voice carrying across the debris-strewn battlefield. "Your transformation is failing. You've reached your limit." Blood trickled from the corner of Goku's mouth as he smiled. "Maybe so, but I learned something important fighting you, Jiren." He straightened, ignoring the searing pain. "There's always another level to reach." In the floating observation platform above, gods and angels watched with rapt attention. Beerus, the feline god of destruction for Universe 7, leaned forward with uncharacteristic intensity. "Whis, what is that idiot planning now?" His attendant angel, Whis, tilted his head, his usually placid expression giving way to genuine surprise. "I'm not entirely certain. But the energy he's gathering isn't just from Ultra Instinct." Beside them, Vados, Whis' sister and attendant to Universe 6, a god of destruction, narrowed her eyes. Her staff glowed faintly as she analyzed the energy patterns forming around Goku. "Brother, do you sense that? It's as if he's drawing two opposing cosmic forces simultaneously." "Impossible," Whis whispered, yet the evidence materialized before them. On the battlefield, Goku closed his eyes, reaching deep within himself and beyond, to the underlying fabric of reality. Ultra Instinct had opened doorways in his consciousness he never knew existed, allowing him to perceive the fundamental forces that shaped existence, creation and destruction, not as opposing forces, but as complementary aspects of the same cosmic balance. Jiren launched forward, recognizing the danger in allowing his opponent time to recover. His fist, capable of shattering stars, aimed directly at Goku's heart. It never connected. A shockwave of purple and golden energy erupted from Goku's body, halting Jiren mid-attack. The Pride Trooper's eyes widened as he was thrown backward, crashing through floating debris. What is this power?" Jiren demanded, truly shaken for the first time. Goku's eyes opened, revealing irises that cycled between violet and gold. His hair, still silver from Ultra Instinct, now rippled with waves of the same alternating colors. The aura surrounding him wasn't the serene blue flame of his previous transformation, but a controlled maelstrom of creative and destructive energies swirling in perfect harmony. Among the spectators, chaos erupted. "This cannot be," bellowed the Grand Priest, his perpetual composure fracturing. "He's channeling both destruction and creation energy simultaneously. Is that even possible?" Beerus demanded, his fur standing on end as he sensed the familiar destructive energy. Why he wielded now emanating from the Saiyan warrior. Vados stood transfixed, her analytical mind racing. In all her millions of years of existence, she had never witnessed this phenomenon. Gods of destruction and gods of creation existed in careful balance, their powers never meant to coexist within a single vessel. Yet somehow, this mortal was defying cosmic law. "Father," she addressed the Grand Priest without taking her eyes off Goku. "The barrier between divine domains is collapsing within him. Should we intervene?" Before the Grand Priest could answer, reality itself seemed to bend around the arena. The void surrounding them, empty by design, began to fill with swirling nebulae and collapsing stars, as if Goku's transformation was affecting the very fabric of the exhibition space. On Earth, thousands of light years away, Android 18 froze mid-conversation with her husband Krillin. A strange sensation washed over her, like an electrical current running through her cybernetic components. 18. "What's wrong?" Krillin asked, noticing her sudden rigidity. She pressed a hand to her temple, synthetic nerve endings firing with information she couldn't process. "Something's happening to Goku. I can feel it somehow." Quote, "What do you mean?" "The tournament's taking place in a completely different dimension." "I know, but..." Her words cut off as a wave of dizziness struck her. Mages flashed through her mind. Goku surrounded by violet and golden light, the structure of reality bending around him, and strangest of all, a connection forming, a link between her cybernetic system and the new energy Goku was generating. Back at the tournament, Goku stepped forward, each footfall leaving shimmering impressions in the broken arena floor, not destroying the stone, but simultaneously breaking it down and reforming it into something new. The air around him hummed with potential. I don't understand what's happening to me, Jiren, Goku admitted, his voice resonating with new power yet retaining its characteristic honesty. But I can feel everything. The creation of new stars, the death of old ones, the balance that keeps it all working together. Jiren reassumed his fighting stance. But uncertainty showed in his eyes. Whatever power you've stumbled upon, Son Goku, it doesn't change our battle. I fight for my universe's survival. Goku nodded respectfully. I know. And that's why I can't lose here. What followed wasn't simply a battle but a demonstration of power that transcended conventional understanding. When Goku struck, his blows carried the weight of destruction, yet where they landed, new energy blossomed. He moved with precision beyond even Ultra Instinct, as if he could simultaneously perceive all possible futures and choose the optimal path. Jiren fought valiantly, channeling every ounce of his tremendous power, but found himself increasingly outmatched. It wasn't merely Goku's increased strength but the nature of his techniques, unpredictable, unhittable. As if he existed in multiple states simultaneously. In the observation platform, the gods watched in growing alarm. This violates every cosmic law, Beerus growled. No being LD wield both energies, it's why we have separate gods for creation and destruction. The Supreme Kai of Universe 7 nodded nervously. The balance has always been maintained through separation. If Goku truly possesses both, the consequences could be catastrophic. Whis finished, his usual light-hearted demeanor absent. Or what? Demanded Beerus. Or it could represent an evolution in the cosmic order, Vados interjected. Her analytical mind already racing ahead. Brother, consider the implications. If a single consciousness could balance both forces internally. Enough speculation, the Grand Priest interrupted, his voice cutting through the chatter. This tournament must conclude before the energies destabilize further. On the battlefield, Goku felt the fabric of space-time straining around him. The power was overwhelming, not just in its magnitude but in its complexity. Each thought manifested as potential reality, each movement altered the quantum state of his surroundings. He could perceive Jiren not just physically but temporally, seeing the echoes of his past and branches of his possible futures. I need to end this now, Goku realized, before something breaks. Gathering the swirling energies, he focused them into a single point between his palms. Unlike his usual Kamehameha, this attack contained no destructive intent. Instead, it was pure application of cosmic principle. Balance Breaker, he named it instinctively, releasing a beam that wasn't energy so much as concentrated reality. When it struck Jiren, it didn't damage him in the conventional sense. Instead, it momentarily suspended him between states of existence, neither destroying nor creating, but resetting. For 3 heartbeats, Jiren existed in perfect equilibrium, unable to act or resist. Then, gently but firmly, Goku pushed, and Jiren fell from the arena into the void. Universe 11's final warrior has been eliminated, the Grand Priest announced, his voice tense. Universe 7 wins the Tournament of Power. Instead of celebration, silence fell. All eyes remained fixed on Goku, who hovered above the arena's remains, divine energies still swirling around him. His expression was one of wonder mixed with growing concern as cracks appeared in the dimensional space around him. Something's wrong, he said, looking at his hands as golden and violet energy arced between his fingers. I can't turn it off. The Grand Priest appeared beside him instantly. Son Goku, you've accessed power never meant for a single vessel. The cosmic balance is destabilizing. How do I stop it? You cannot. What's been merged cannot be easily separated. The Grand Priest raised his hand. I must contain you before. He never finished the sentence. A blinding flash erupted from Goku's form, and reality itself seemed to fold inward. When the light faded, both Goku and the Grand Priest had vanished, leaving only swirling eddies of space-time distortion. Vados moved instantly, her staff tracing complex patterns as she analyzed the dimensional rupture. Father and son Goku have been pulled into a dimensional pocket, a space between realities created by the conflicting energies. Can you reach them? Whis asked, joining his sister. Perhaps, but Vados paused, her eyes widening. Something's changing. The energies are stabilizing, but not returning to separation. They're harmonizing within him. Across the cosmos, Android 18 collapsed to her knees, her systems overwhelmed by incomprehensible data streams. Through the strange connection she developed to Goku's new energy, she experienced fragmented perceptions of what was happening. Goku and the Grand Priest in a swirling vortex of creation and destruction, cosmic laws being rewritten, and at the center, Goku's consciousness expanding to encompass concepts no mortal was meant to understand. 18. Krillin cried, catching her before she hit the ground. What's happening to you? I can see him, she whispered, her eyes unfocused. Goku is changing, becoming something else, and somehow, I'm connected to it. In the dimensional pocket, Goku faced the Grand Priest across an expanse of raw crete. Ion, a primordial soup of potential reality. What you've done cannot be undone, son Goku, the Grand Priest stated, his usual benign expression replaced by solemn intensity. You've merged energies to remain separate since the dawn of existence. Goku struggled to maintain his sense of self amidst the flood of cosmic awareness. I didn't mean to. It just happened when I reached for more power. Intent is irrelevant. The consequence remains. The Grand Priest circled him, analyzing the swirling energies. Curious. Instead of tearing you apart, the energies are reaching equilibrium within your consciousness. Your mortal body should have disintegrated instantly. I've always been too stubborn to know when to quit. Goku managed a weak smile. Indeed. The Grand Priest stopped his examination. The cosmic laws are clear. There must be balance between creation and destruction, traditionally maintained through separate divine entities. But you've become something unprecedented. A focal point where both forces achieve harmony. What does that mean? It means, said the Grand Priest with unusual hesitation, that you have inadvertently ascended to a position that has never existed before, a god of balance. Goku's eyes widened. I never wanted to be any kind of god. I just want to go home, see my family, train, and eat Chi-Chi's cooking. That life is no longer possible for you. The power you now contain would destroy your home and everyone you love simply by your presence. The Grand Priest's expression softened marginally. However, there may be a solution. I'll do anything. You must learn to control these powers, to fully become what you have started to transform into. Only then might you safely exist alongside mortals again. How do I do that? You will need guidance. The Grand Priest waved his hand, creating a window into the normal dimension where the other gods and angels waited anxiously. My daughter Vados has shown particular insight into your condition. She will serve as your instructor and attendant. Vados. But she's with Universe 6. The cosmic balance has been altered by your transformation. Old arrangements must change accordingly. The Grand Priest studied Goku intently. There is something else, a connection forming to another being. Most unusual. Goku concentrated, following the thread of awareness that extended beyond the dimensional pocket. Android 18. But how is that possible? Her unique nature, neither fully organic nor fully mechanical, has created an unexpected resonance with your new energy. His connection could prove valuable in your transition. Before Goku could respond, the dimensional pocket began to collapse around them. The Grand Priest raised his hand, stabilizing their surroundings. Our time here is limited. You must make a choice, son Goku. Accept this new role and learn to master it, or I must seal you away in a dimension where your uncontrolled power cannot threaten existence. Goku closed his eyes, feeling the weight of cosmic responsibility settling upon him. Everything he'd fought for, his family, his friends, Earth itself, would be at risk if he couldn't control this power. And despite never seeking godhood, he understood that running from this responsibility wasn't an option. I'll do it, he said finally, opening eyes that now shimmered with golden and violet light. I'll become this god of balance if that's what it takes to protect everyone. The Grand Priest nodded. Then it is decided. With a gesture, he transported them back to the observation platform where the gods and angels waited. Their return caused an immediate uproar. which the Grand Priest silenced with a raised hand. The cosmic order has been altered, he announced. Son Goku has become a nexus of creation and destruction, a god of balance. This position now exists within the divine hierarchy. Protests erupted from several gods of destruction, with Beerus the loudest among them. This is absurd. A Saiyan cannot become a god of both domains. It undermines my authority and the Supreme Kai's. The Grand Priest turned his implacable gaze upon Beerus. Your authority exists because I allow it, Lord Beerus. The divine hierarchy serves cosmic balance, not individual pride. Lord Beerus, Goku addressed his former superior, his voice carrying new resonance. I never wanted to take anything from you. I just wanted to win the tournament and save our universe. Beerus glared but fell silent, recognizing both the change in Goku and the finality in the Grand Priest's tone. Vados, the Grand Priest continued. You will serve as attendant to the God of Balance. Your analytical abilities and experience with both creative and destructive principles make you uniquely qualified. Vados bowed gracefully, her expression revealing nothing of her thoughts. I accept this duty, Father. Wait, Whis interjected, what becomes of Universe 6 and Lord Champa? Adjustments will be made throughout the cosmic hierarchy, the Grand Priest replied. For now, Lord Champa will be temporarily assigned another attendant until permanent arrangements can be determined. Champa, Universe 6, a rotund god of destruction, opened his mouth to protest but thought better of it when he met the Grand Priest's gaze. Son Goku, the Grand Priest addressed him again, your first task is to stabilize your new powers. You must leave Earth immediately, as your current energy state would cause catastrophic damage to the planet and its inhabitants. Goku's face fell. I can't even say goodbye. I'm afraid not. The risk is too great. What about my wish? Goku asked suddenly, remembering the tournament's prize. I won, so I get to use the Super Dragon Balls, right? The Grand Priest considered this. Yes, that was the agreement. Then I wish for Earth and everyone on it to be protected from any harmful effects of my new power, so I can at least visit them safely once I've gained control. Silence fell as the gods and angels exchanged glances. Finally, the Grand Priest nodded. A wise and selfless wish. It shall be granted. He raised his hand, and the 7 Super Dragon Balls appeared, circling slowly. Speaking in the divine language, he summoned Super Shenron, whose massive form filled the cosmos around them. When the wish was made and granted, the dragon dissolved back into the 7 balls, which scattered across the dimensions. The protective barrier will form gradually, the Grand Priest explained. In approximately 1 Earth year, you may safely return for brief periods. Assuming you've mastered sufficient control. Goku nodded solemnly. 1 year. I can manage that. We should depart immediately. Vados stepped forward, staff in hand. I sense your energies becoming unstable again. Quote, indeed, the golden and violet aura around Goku had begun to pulse erratically, causing ripples in the surrounding space-time. There is one more matter, the Grand Priest added. The connection that has formed between you and the being known as Android 18 requires investigation. Such resonances with divine energy are exceedingly rare and potentially significant. Is she in danger? Goku asked, concern evident despite his struggle to maintain control. Unknown. But she should be brought to the divine realm for examination. Vados nodded. I shall retrieve her. Be gentle. Goku requested. This isn't her choice like it was mine. With a tap of her staff, Vados vanished. On Earth, Android 18 had regained consciousness but remained disoriented. The strange connection to Goku's transformation flooding her systems with incomprehensible data. Something's happening to Goku, she explained to a worried Krillin. He's changing, becoming something beyond a Saiyan or even a god. And you can feel it. How is that possible? I don't know. It's like my cybernetic systems are picking up frequencies from his transformation. It doesn't make sense, but... Her explanation was interrupted by Vados' appearance. The angel materialized gracefully in their living room, her presence immediately commanding attention. Android 18, she addressed her formally. I am Vados, angel attendant to... She paused, the new title still unfamiliar, to the God of Balance. Krillin stepped protectively in front of his wife. What's going on? What's happened to Goku? Son Goku has undergone an unprecedented transformation, merging the divine energies of creation and destruction into a new cosmic role. Vados turned her attention back to 18. Yuha. They developed a unique connection to these energies. The Grand Priest requires your presence to understand this phenomenon. I'm not going anywhere, 18 stated flatly, though she winced as another surge of information flooded her systems. Whatever's happening to Goku is his problem, not mine. Vados regarded her with cool assessment. This connection formed without either party's intention. Left unexamined, it could prove dangerous to you, potentially fatal. Krillin grabbed 18's hand. Is that true? Are you in danger? Before she could answer, 18 doubled over, her eyes glowing momentarily. Why with the same golden-violet light that now characterized Goku's power? The connection is strengthening, Vados observed. Your partially synthetic nature somehow resonates with the harmonic frequency of balanced divine energy. Quite fascinating, actually. Stop analyzing and help her. Krillin demanded. That is precisely my intention. Vados stepped forward. Android 18, I cannot force you to accompany me. But I strongly advise it. The Grand Priest may be able to stabilize this connection before it overwhelms your systems. 18 straightened, fighting through the disorienting influx of cosmic awareness. What about my daughter? My family? Time passes differently in the divine realm. What might seem like months of study could be mere days here. 18 looked at Krillin, conflict evident in her expression. I don't trust gods or angels, but I can't stay here if this keeps getting worse. Krillin squeezed her hand. Do what you need to do. Marin and I will be waiting when you get back. After a moment's hesitation, 18 nodded to Vados. Fine, let's go see what's happening to Goku and fix this connection so I can get back to my life. A practical approach, Vados approved, extending her staff. Please maintain physical contact with my staff during transport. As soon as 18 touched the staff, Vados transported them back to the divine realm, where Goku was engaged in intense concentration, trying to contain the swirling energies that threatened to erupt from him at any moment. Goku, 18 called out, surprising herself with her concern. He looked up, his glowing eyes widening. 18, you came. Not like I had much choice. She gestured to her temple. Whatever you've done has created some kind of link to my systems. The Grand Priest floated down to examine her more closely. Fascinating. Your cybernetic components are indeed resonating with the harmonic frequency of balanced divine energy. This is unprecedented. Can you break the connection? 18 asked directly. Perhaps, but it might be more valuable to understand it first. This resonance could provide insights into how mortal technology might safely interact with divine power, knowledge that could prove crucial as Son Goku learns to control his new abilities. Goku approached cautiously, aware that his unstable energy could be dangerous. I'm sorry, 18, I never meant to drag you into this. Quote, you never mean to drag anyone into anything, Goku, but it happens anyway. Despite her harsh words, there was no real bite to 18's tone, just weary acceptance of Goku's knack for the extraordinary. He connection appears strongest when you are in proximity, Vados observed, analyzing the energy patterns with her staff. Curious. The Grand Priest nodded. I propose a temporary arrangement. Andro. It 18 will remain in the divine realm while Son Goku undergoes initial training. This will allow us to study the connection while ensuring her safety from potential energy fluctuations. For how long? 18 demanded. As I mentioned, Vados replied, time moves differently here. What might be months in the divine realm could be mere days on Earth. 18 crossed her arms. And if I refuse? The Grand Priest regarded her impassively. That is your right. However, without proper understanding and stabilization, the connection could eventually overload your systems completely. Goku looked genuinely distressed. I don't want to cause you any harm, 18. If there's another way. There isn't, she cut him off sharply. Fine, I'll stay for a while, but I want regular updates on how much Earth time has passed. I have a daughter who needs me. That can be arranged, the Grand Priest agreed. Vados, please prepare suitable accommodations for our guests. As Vados led them away, 18 studied Goku more carefully. Beyond the obvious aura of divine energy, there was something fundamentally changed about him. A depth to his gaze that hadn't existed before, as if he was seeing beyond the physical world. So, she said dryly. God of balance, couldn't just be satisfied with being the strongest mortal. Goku ran a hand through his still shimmering hair. Trust me, this wasn't my idea. I just wanted to win the tournament. You've always had a talent for the impossible, she remarked. But this is extreme even for you. I know. His expression turned serious. 18. I'm scared. Not for me, but for what this means for everyone else. If I can't control this power. The vulnerability in his admission caught her off guard. Goku had always faced challenges with unshakable confidence. But the weight of cosmic responsibility was clearly affecting him differently. You'll figure it out, she found herself saying. You always do. He looked at her with surprise, then offered a small smile, one that briefly made him look like the old Goku again. Thanks, 18. Their moment was interrupted by Vados. We have arrived at the training nexus. This pocket dimension will serve as your primary residence while you learn to control your powers, Lord Goku. Just Goku is fine, he insisted quickly. That would be improper given your new station, Vados replied, though a hint of amusement colored her tone. Divine protocol is quite strict about such matters. Divine protocol, 18 muttered. Great. The training nexus was a vast, empty space of swirling cosmic energy, neither fully formed nor completely chaotic. It seemed to respond to Goku's presence, the patterns shifting to mirror the golden and violet energies that continued to emanate from him. This realm exists between creation and destruction. Vados explained. It will respond to your will as you learn to balance the opposing forces within you. Goku looked around with wonder. It's beautiful. Beauty is not its purpose, Vados corrected. Functionality is. Here, your energy fluctuations cannot harm established reality. She turned to 18. For you, I've prepared a separate chamber adjacent to the training area. It contains features similar to Earth technology for your comfort, while special barriers will modulate the connection between you and Lord Goku to prevent system overload. 18 raised an eyebrow. You did all that in the time it took us to walk here. Time is somewhat flexible for angels, Vados replied with a small smile. A useful skill when serving impulsive gods. Over the next several days, by divine realm reckoning, Goku began the arduous process of learning to contain and direct his new powers. Unlike his previous training, which had focused on increasing strength or speed, this required fundamental changes to how he perceived reality itself. Destruction is not merely breaking things, Vados instructed as they sat in meditation. It is the application of entropy, the natural tendency of all things to move from order to chaos. Similarly, creation is not making something from nothing, but guiding potential into form. Goku, floating cross-legged before her, struggled to grasp these abstract concepts. Can't I just learn to throw energy balls that don't blow up everything? Vados tapped her staff lightly on his head. Crude applications will yield crude results. As god of balance, your responsibility is precision, knowing exactly how much to create and how much to destroy to maintain cosmic harmony. From her observation chamber, 18 watched these training sessions with growing interest. Initially, she had occupied herself with analyzing her own condition, using the advanced diagnostic equipment Vados had provided to understand how her cybernetic stems were interacting with divine energy. But increasingly, she found herself drawn to Goku's struggles and small victories. The connection between them fluctuated in strength but never disappeared. Through it, she occasionally experienced fragments of Goku's perceptions, brief glimpses of reality as seen through the eyes of a nascent god. These moments were disorienting but fascinating, offering perspectives no mortal was meant to comprehend. One evening, or what passed for evening in the timeless divine realm, Vados found 18 staring intently at a holographic display of energy patterns. Quote, "You've made progress in understanding the connection," the angel observed. 18 nodded without looking up. My systems are adapting to the energy frequency. It's still disruptive, but not painful anymore. Remarkable. Most mortals would have been overwhelmed entirely. I'm not most mortals, 18 replied flatly. Indeed not. Vados studied her with clinical interest. Your creator, despite his flawed morality, was brilliant in certain ways. The integration of organic and mechanical systems in your body has created a unique buffer against divine energy, capable of processing it rather than being destroyed by it. 18 finally looked up. Is that why this connection formed? Because I'm part machine, partially, but there's more to it. Vados gestured to the holographic display. The patterns suggest resonance not just with your cybernetic components, but with your life force itself. Something in you naturally harmonizes with the balanced energy Lord Goku now embodies. That doesn't make any sense. I barely know Goku. We weren't even friends. Divine connections rarely follow mortal logic, Vados said with a small shrug. The cosmos has its own designs. Before 18 could respond, an alarm sounded from the training area. Both women turned to see Goku surrounded by unstable energy vortices, his control slipping as power erupted from him in waves. Another fluctuation, Vados noted calmly. Though she moved quickly toward the chamber door, his progress in containment remains inconsistent. 18 followed instinctively, ignoring the angel's warning gesture. As she entered the training area, the connection between her and Goku intensified dramatically. Gold and violet energy arced between them, creating a visible link. Stay back, Goku warned, struggling to contain the outburst. I can't control it. Instead of retreating, 18 moved closer, driven by an impulse she didn't fully understand. The energy surrounding Goku should have been destructive, yet as it washed over her, she felt no pain, only a strange sense of resonance, as if her systems were naturally attuned to its frequency. Fascinating, Vados murmured, observing from a safe distance. She's acting as a stabilizing influence. Indeed, as 18 approached Goku, the wild fluctuations in his aura began to smooth out. The violent energy waves calmed, flowing more evenly between them before reabsorbing into Goku's form. How are you doing that? Goku asked in wonder as his crisis subsided. 18 shook her head, equally puzzled. I don't know. It just felt right. Vados approached, her staff glowing as she analyzed what had occurred. It seems Android 18's unique composition allows her to temporarily absorb excess divine energy during fluctuations, acting as a sort of buffer or regulator. Is that dangerous for her? Goku asked immediately. Apparently not. Her systems process the energy rather than being overwhelmed by it. Vados tilted her head thoughtfully. This could significantly accelerate your training. Lord Goku, with Android 18's assistance, you might achieve basic stability much sooner than anticipated. 18 crossed her arms. I didn't sign up to be a divine battery charger. No, Vados agreed, but your participation would likely reduce your time away from Earth considerably. If Lord Goku achieves stability faster, the Grand Priest can more quickly address your connection. 18 considered this logic, then nodded reluctantly. Fine, what do I need to do? For now, simply remain present during training sessions. Your proximity alone appears beneficial. Vados turned to Goku. Lord Goku, we should inform the Grand Priest of this development. As Vados departed to consult with her father, Goku and 18 were left alone in the training nexus, an awkward silence falling between them. Thank you, Goku finally said. For helping, I mean. 18 shrugged. It's not like I had much choice. The sooner you get control of whatever this is, she gestured to his still shimmering form, the sooner I can go home to my family. I know, I miss mine too. Goku's expression darkened. I wonder what Chi-Chi and Gohan think happened to me. The Grand Priest said I can't even send a message until my energy stabilizes. The mention of his family reminded 18 of the reality Goku faced, that unlike her temporary situation, his transformation was permanent. He would never fully return to the life he'd known. It's not fair, she found herself saying. You never asked for this. Goku managed a small smile. Life rarely gives us what we ask for. But it's my responsibility now. So I have to make the best of it. His simple acceptance of such a profound change struck 18 as both typical of Goku and surprisingly mature. Despite his carefree nature, he had always faced responsibility head-on when it mattered. Over the following weeks, their routine evolved. 18 joined Goku's training sessions, her presence helping him maintain control as Vados guided him through increasingly complex exercises in energy manipulation. What began as awkward necessity gradually shifted toward comfortable familiarity as they spent hours together each day. Try again, Vados instructed as Goku attempted to separate a small sphere of energy into its creative and destructive components. Visualization is key. See the energies as distinct but complementary, like opposite sides of the same coin. Goku concentrated, beads of sweat forming on his brow as the sphere between his palms slowly separated into golden and violet halves. Like this. Better. But they're still fighting each other. True balance isn't forced segregation but harmonious coexistence. From her position nearby, 18 watched Goku's frustration grow. Without thinking, she moved closer, placing her hand near his. Immediately, the connection between them strengthened, and the sphere's energies began to flow more smoothly, not separating but interweaving in a complex dance. Yes, Vados exclaimed with rare enthusiasm. Exactly that pattern. Remember how it feels. Goku looked up at 18 with gratitude. How did you know to do that? I didn't, she admitted. It just seemed like the right move. Vados studied them both with growing interest. The synchronization between you becomes more refined with each session. It's as if you're developing a shared instinct for balance. Later, as they rested after a particularly intensive training period, 18 found herself asking a question that had been on her mind. What does it feel like being a god? Goku considered the question seriously. It's like being connected to everything. I can feel stars being born and dying, planets forming, life evolving, all simultaneously. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but other times it's beautiful beyond anything I could describe. Do you regret it, taking on this power? I didn't exactly choose it, he reminded her. But, no, I don't think I regret it. I'm learning things I never imagined, seeing the universe in ways I never could before. He paused. The hardest part is knowing I can't go back to just being me, just being Goku, the guy who loves fighting and eating and spending time with his family. 18 nodded, understanding the loss behind his words. You're still you, just more. He looked at her with surprise, then smiled, a genuine Goku smile that momentarily outshone the divine aura surrounding him. Thanks, 18, that helps. Their conversation was interrupted by Vados' return with news from the Grand Priest. Father is pleased with your progress, she informed them. He believes you're ready for the next phase of training, practical application in a controlled reality. What does that mean? Goku asked. It means, Vados explained, that we will travel to a designated testing area where you can practice creating and destroying actual matter rather than energy constructs. Is that safe? 18 questioned skeptically. The designated area is an uninhabited pocket D, a mention specifically designed for divine training. Nothing of value will be at risk. Vados turned to Goku. However, this will be your first exposure to external stimuli since your transformation. Maintaining control will be considerably more challenging. Goku nodded, determination evident in his expression. I'm ready, or as ready as I'll ever be. Will I be coming along? 18 asked, surprise, ed by her own reluctance at the thought of being left behind. Your presence is deemed valuable for stabilization purposes, Vados confirmed. Additionally, this will provide an opportunity to observe how your connection functions in a more complex environment. The following day, Vados transported them to the testing dimension, a vast, barren landscape under a strange purple sky containing 3 small suns. The ground beneath their feet was perfectly flat, extending to the horizon in all directions. This place was created by the Grand Priest himself, Vados explained. It exists outside normal space-time, allowing for complete reconstruction without consequence. Goku looked around curiously. So I can create or destroy anything here? Within limits, Vados cautioned. Begin small. Form basic elements. Then simple structures. Hasty ambition leads to instability. For the next several hours, Goku practiced manipulating the environment, creating small rock formations, then destroying them. Condensing moisture from nothing to form lakes, then evaporating them again. Each success built his confidence, though occasional surges of power still required 18's proximity to stabilize. You're progressing remarkably well, Vados noted as Goku successfully created a small forest, complete with animal life. Your intuitive understanding of life energy gives you a natural advantage in creative processes. Goku beamed at the praise. It's starting to feel natural. Like fighting. When you stop thinking about the technique and just let your body move. An apt comparison. Divine power should eventually become an extension of your will, requiring no more conscious effort than breathing. As Goku continued practicing, 18 explored the small forest he had created, marveling at the detail. The trees weren't just approximations but fully realized organisms with complex cellular structures. Birds sang in the branches, insects buzzed between flowers, an entire ecosystem conjured from nothing. He created all this? She asked Vados, who had followed her into the trees. Indeed, quite impressive for a novice. The angel studied a leaf with critical attention. The molecular struck. Ture is perfect down to the cellular level. He has an instinctive grasp of life patterns. It's beautiful, 18 admitted. Beauty is often a byproduct of balanced creation, Vados observed. Somethi, Lord Goku seems to understand naturally. Their contemplation was interrupted by a sudden tremor that shook the ground beneath them. Rushing back to the clearing, they found Goku struggling with a new challenge. He had attempted to create a mountain range but lost control of the process. The ground buckled and heaved as destructive energy overwhelmed the creative force, resulting in a volcanic eruption that threatened to consume the forest he'd made. Goku, 18 called out, instinctively moving toward him despite the danger. Stay back, he warned, his aura flaring wildly. I can't balance it. Ignoring his warning, 18 pushed through the heat and debris, following the pull of their connection. When she reached him, she grabbed his arm without hesitation. The effect was immediate. The chaotic energy surged between them, but instead of overwhelming her, it seemed to flow through her systems, becoming ordered and controlled. With 18's stabilizing influence, Goku regained focus. He raised his hands, and the volcanic eruption slowed, then stopped completely. The molten rock cooled and shaped itself into a magnificent mountain range, with the forest intact at its base. We did it, Goku breathed, looking at their joint creation with wonder. You did it, 18 corrected, though she couldn't deny the strange sense of participation she'd felt, as if her own energy had somehow contributed to the final result. Vados approached, her expression showing rare approval. Most impressive. The synergy between you accomplished what would typically take a divine being centuries to master. Goku turned to 18, his expression serious. I couldn't have done it without you. Whatever this connection is between us, it's becoming something important. 18 found herself unable to ISS his words as she might have once done. The experience of channeling divine energy, of feeling the universe respond to their combined will, had affected her more deeply than she cared to admit. Let's just focus on your training, she said finally. The sooner you can control this power on your own, the better for everyone. But as they continued their exercises throughout the day, 18 found herself increasingly involved, not just as a stabilizing presence but as an active participant. When Goku created, she found she could sense the patterns forming and suggest refinements. When he destroyed, she could feel the points of weakness where entropy would flow most naturally. By the time Vados called an end to the day's training, they had transformed the empty dimension into a diverse landscape of mountains, forests, oceans, and desert, a miniature world created through their combined efforts. You have exceeded all expectations, Vados told them as they prepared to return to the training nexus. At this rate of progress, Lord Goku may achieve sufficient control for Earth visitation much sooner than the projected year. Goku's face lit up. Really? I could see my family soon. Potentially. Though such visits would need to be brief and carefully monitored until your control becomes absolute. As they returned to their quarters, 18 noticed Goku's subdued mood despite the good news. I thought you'd be more excited about possibly seeing your family soon, she remarked. He sighed, running a hand through his still shimmering hair. I am, but I'm also scared. What if I still can't control it when I'm there? What if I hurt them? You won't, 18 said with surprising certainty. How can you be so sure? Because I've watched you train until you collapse every day just to make sure you won't hurt them. That kind of determination doesn't fail. Goku looked at her with gratitude, then hesitation crossed his features. 18. When I do go back to Earth, will you come with me? Just in case I need. Stabilization, she finished for him. Yeah, I'd feel safer knowing you were there. The request surprised her, as did her immediate inclination to agree. Let's see what the Grand Priest says about our connection first. Maybe by then, you won't need me anymore. Something flickered in Goku's expression. Disappointment, perhaps, but he nodded. You're right, one step at a time. The following morning, They were summoned to meet with the Grand Priest, who had arrived to personally assess Goku's progress. Most impressive, he declared after reviewing Vados's reports and conducting his own examination. The harmonization of opposing energies within you has progressed far beyond expected parameters. Does that mean I can visit Earth soon? Goku asked hopefully. Perhaps. The Grand Priest turned his attention to 18. But first, we must address the connection between you. It has evolved beyond a simple resonance into something more complex, a true symbiosis of mortal and divine energy. What exactly does that mean for me? 18 questioned. It means, the Grand Priest explained, that you have become something unprecedented, immortal, with the capacity to channel divine balance energy. This ability could serve a greater purpose in the cosmic order. 18 crossed her arms defensively. I didn't ask for any cosmic purpose. I just want to go back to my family. And you shall, in time. But the connection between you and Lord Goku cannot be severed without potential harm to you both. He raised a hand to forestall her protest. Instead, I propose a compromise. You will return to Earth alongside Lord Goku for his first visit. This will allow us to observe how the connection functions in the mortal realm and determine the best path forward. Goku looked between them anxiously. Is it safe for her to be connected to me like this long-term? With proper training for both of you, yes. The Grand Priest's expression softened marginally. Android 18, your situation is unique, but not without precedent. Throughout cosmic history, certain mortals have formed connections to divine beings, serving as bridges between realms. SA relationships have often proven beneficial to both parties. You're suggesting I become some kind of divine assistant? 18 asked incredulously. I suggest nothing. I merely observe possibilities. The Grand Priest turned back to Goku. As for your Earth visit, I believe it can be arranged within the next phase of divine time, approximately 1 month from now by Earth reckoning. Goku's face lit up. Really? That's amazing. Thank you. Do not thank me prematurely. The visit will be brief, no more than 24 Earth hours, and under strict conditions. Vados will accompany you both to monitor for any instability. As the Grand Priest departed to make arrangements, Goku could barely contain his excitement. Can you believe it, 18? We get to go home. His enthusiasm was infectious, and 18 found herself smiling despite her lingering concerns. Just remember it's temporary. Don't get carried away. I know. But even a day is better than nothing. The prospect of returning to Earth, even briefly, energized Goku's training efforts. Over the next several weeks, his control increased dramatically. The wild fluctuations in his power became rare, and he mastered Increa. Singly complex manipulations of both creative and destructive energy. Throughout this intense training period, the connection between him and 18 continued to evolve. What had begun as an unwanted Lin-K became a surprisingly comfortable partnership. 18 found she could anticipate Goku's energy patterns, offering subtle guidance that helped him maintain perfect balance. In turn, Goku became attuned to her presence, able to modulate his power to avoid overwhelming her systems. Vados observed this development with keen interest. The synchronization between you has reached unprecedented levels, she noted during one training session. It's as if you've developed a shared consciousness regarding energy manipulation. Is that normal? 18 asked, still uncomfortable with the implications. There is no normal for this situation. Vados replied. You are the first mortal to form such a connection with a god of balance, largely because Lord Goku is the first such god to exist. As the day of their Earth visit approached, preparations intensified. The Grand Priest provided specific instructions for minimizing Goku's energy signature while in the mortal realm, while Vados trained 18 in emergency stabilization techniques. If his control begins to slip, she demonstrated, guide the excess energy through your connection and disperse it gradually rather than attempting to contain it. 18 practiced the technique diligently, aware that lives might depend on her ability to help Goku maintain control. Finally, the appointed day arrived. Goku could barely stand still as Vados made final adjustments to his energy containment. Remember, she cautioned, maintain constant awareness of your power levels. At the first sign of instability, signal me immediately. I will, Goku promised solemnly. I won't put anyone at risk. Vados turned to 18. Are you prepared for this responsibility? 18 nodded, her expression determined. Yes, let's go home. With a tap of her staff, Vados transported them across dimensions. And suddenly they were standing on the grassy fields outside Goku's mountain home. The familiar landscape of Earth. The blue sky, the rustling trees, the distant sounds of birds, struck them both with unexpected emotional force. "We're back," Goku whispered, his eyes wide as he took in the scene. For a moment, the divine aura surrounding him dimmed, revealing a glimpse of the simple Saiyan warrior who had left this place months ago. 18 understood his feeling perfectly. After the abstract cosmic landscapes of the divine realm, Earth's simple beauty held a Nancy neither had fully appreciated before. "Remember," Vados reminded them gently, 24 hours only. "Make them count." Goku nodded, then turned toward his home, visible in the distance. "Let's go say hello." As they approached the small house, 18 felt a strange nervousness. How would Goku's family react to his transformation? To her unexpected presence? To the reality that he could never truly return to his old life? Before they reached the door, it flew open, and Chi-Chi burst out, followed closely by Gohan and Goten. "Goku!" Chi-Chi cried, rushing forward, then stopping abruptly. Why? As she registered his transformed appearance, the golden-violet aura that surrounded him, the otherworldly glow in his eyes. "Hi, Chi-Chi," he said softly, uncertainly. "I'm home, sort of." For a long moment, no one moved. Then Goten broke the tension, running forward to hug his father regardless of his changed appearance. "Dad, you're back, and you look so cool." Goku knelt to embrace his youngest son, carefully modulating his energy to ensure the divine aura wouldn't harm the boy. "I've missed you, Goten." Gohan approached more cautiously, his scholarly mind clearly analyzing the transformation. "Dad, what happened to you? Your energy signature is unlike anything I've ever sensed." "It's a long story," Goku replied, standing to face his older son and wife. "I became something called the God of Balance. It's kind of a new position in the divine hierarchy." Chi-Chi's expression cycled through confusion, concern, and finally resigned exasperation, a look she had perfected. Rough years of Goku's unexpected transformations and adventures. "Only you, Goku," she sighed. "Only you could go to a tournament and come back as some new kind of god." Her familiar reaction broke the tension. And Goku laughed, a sound of pure relief. "I've missed you, Chi-Chi." She stepped forward then, hesitantly touching his face. "You feel different, warmer and cooler at the same time, if that makes any sense." "That would be the balanced energy," Vados explained, stepping forward. "Creation energy warms, destruction energy cools. Lord Goku contains both in equal measure." Chi-Chi turned her attention to the others, noticing 18 for the first time. "Android 18, what are you doing here?" 18 shifted uncomfortably. "It's complicated. I developed some kind of connection to Goku's new energy. I'm here to help if he needs stabilization. And I am Vados," the angel introduced herself with a formal bow. "Angel attendant to the God of Balance." Chi-Chi looked between them, then back to Goku, a new wariness entering her expression. "I see. And how long will you be staying?" "Just 24 hours, Goku answered quickly, recognizing the dangerous tone in his wife's voice. "It's all the time I'm allowed for now. When my control gets better, I can visit more often." "Visit," Chi-Chi repeated, the word hanging heavily between them. "So you're not coming home to stay?" Goku's expression fell. "I can't, Chi-Chi. Not yet, maybe not ever in the same way as before. My power would be too dangerous without constant control." The reality they had all been avoiding settled over the group. This wasn't a homecoming but a visitation, a brief window into a life Goku could observe but no longer fully participate in. Gohan, ever the mediator, broke the uncomfortable silence. "Why don't we go inside? You can tell us everything that happened, and we can enjoy the time we have together." As they moved toward the house, 18 hung back, feeling out of place in this family reunion. "Maybe I should go see Krillin and Marin," she suggested to Vados. "Give them some privacy." The angel considered this. "The connection between you and Lord Goku remains most stable within close proximity. However, a brief separation should be manageable now that he has achieved greater control." Goku overheard and turned back. "Are you sure, 18? I don't mind if you stay. This is family time, she said firmly. I should check on my own family anyway. After confirming that she could return quickly if needed, 18 departed for Kame House, leaving Goku to reconnect with his loved ones. The reunion was bittersweet, joy at being together mixed with the knowledge of its temporary nature. Throughout the day, Goku explained his transformation, demonstrated some of his new abilities carefully in the open fields away from the house, and listened eagerly to all that had happened on Earth during his absence. Meanwhile, 18's reunion with Krillin and Marin unfolded with its own complex emotions. Her daughter's delight at seeing her was uncomplicated, but Krillin immediately noticed the subtle changes in his wife. You seem different, he said when they had a moment alone. Not just on the outside, but something deeper. 18 nodded, not surprised by his perception. Being connected to divine energy changes you. I've seen things, felt things, that I can't really explain. This connection with Goku, Krillin asked hesitantly, what exactly does it mean? I don't fully understand it myself, she admitted. But it's not going away. The Grand Priest thinks I might have some kind of cosmic role to play because of it. Quote, Krillin's expression showed concern but no jealousy or doubt, one of the many reasons she loved him. Whatever happens, whatever you need to do, we'll work it out. Family adapts. His unconditional support nearly broke her careful composure. I've missed you both so much. As evening approached, 18 felt a familiar pull, the connection with Goku signaling that she should return. After promising Krillin she would come back before their Earth visit ended, she flew toward the Sun family home. She arrived to find Goku outside, sitting on a hillside overlooking the valley. The golden-violet aura around him pulsed gently in the twilight, casting otherworldly patterns across the landscape. How was your family reunion? He asked as she approached. Good. Marin's grown almost an inch. 18 sat beside him. Yours. Good and hard at the same time. Goku gazed toward the house where lights glowed warmly in the windows. They're happy to see me, but there's this knowledge hanging over everything, that I'm not really back, just visiting. 18 nodded, understanding completely. It's like being caught between worlds. Exactly. He turned to her with sudden intensity. 18. I'm grateful you're going through this with me. Having someone who understands, it helps. The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. This wasn't the carefree, sometimes oblivious Goku she had known before. The god of balance had a depth of perception and emotion that his former self had rarely displayed. It's not like I had much choice in the matter, she deflected. Uncomfortable with the moment's intimacy. Still, thank you. They sat in companionable silence as stars appeared overhead, the same stars that had seemed so distant and abstract from the divine realm now felt like old friends. What happens next? 18 finally asked. After we go back to the divine realm. More training, I guess. Learning to control the power better so I can visit more often, stay longer. Goku plucked a blade of grass, examining it with new appreciation. And figuring out what being the god of balance actually means beyond just containing the power. What do you mean? Beerus destroys things that need destroying to maintain balance. The Supreme Kai creates when creation is needed. But what does a god of balance actually do? What's my job supposed to be? It was a profound question that revealed how deeply Goku had been contemplating his new role, another surprising development in his character. Maybe you get to decide that, 18 suggested. Since you're the first one. Goku considered this, then smiled, a glimpse of his old optimism breaking through the weight of divine responsibility. Maybe you're right. Maybe we both get to figure it out as we go. She questioned, raising an eyebrow. Well, yeah, we're connected in this weird way, right? Seems like you're part of whatever cosmic job I've got now, whether either of us planned it or not. Before 18 could respond, Vados appeared beside them. I hate to interrupt, but there's a situation developing that requires attention. What kind of situation? Goku asked, immediately alert. Temporal anomaly has formed approximately 30 kilometers from here. It appears to be a side effect of your presence in the mortal realm, a point where creative and destructive energies are interacting with Earth's natural forces. Goku stood quickly. Is it dangerous? Potentially. If left unchecked, it could expand into a full reality breach. Vados turned to 18. Your presence would be beneficial during stabilization efforts. Without hesitation, 18 rose to her feet. Let's go. As Vados transported them to the anomaly site, 18 realized how naturally she had accepted this role, rushing toward cosmic danger alongside Goku as if it were the most normal thing in the world. Somewhere along their strange journey, the unwanted connection had become a responsibility she was unwilling to abandon. The temporal anomaly manifested as a swirling vortex of golden and violet energy in the middle of an empty field, beautiful but ominous as it pulsed with increasing intensity. It's responding to your presence. Vados explained to Goku. Your divine energy is activating latent temporal fluctuations in this area. How do I stop it? Goku asked, studying the vortex with newfound divine perception. You must reharmonize the energies. See how they're spinning in opposition. Guide them back into balance. Goku nodded, extending his hands toward the anomaly. As he channeled his power, the connection between him and 18 flared to life, and she instinctively moved to his side, adding her stabilizing influence to his efforts. Together, they worked to calm the chaotic energies, Goku providing the raw power and divine authority. 18 offering precision and balance through their unique link. Gradually, the vortex began to shrink, its wild fluctuations smoothing into regular patterns. It's working, Vados observed. Continue. Quote, with a final surge of concentrated effort, they collapsed the anomaly entirely, leaving only a small patch of transformed earth, crystalline structures that glittered with inner light. Neither fully material nor entirely energy. What are those? 18 asked, kneeling to examine the strange formations. Time crystals, Vados explained. Extremely rare manifestations that occur when temporal energy is perfectly balanced between states. They're considered valuable treasures in certain divine circles. Goku looked troubled despite their success. This happened just because I'm here on Earth. What if more anomalies form? It's a concern, Vados acknowledged. Your control has improved dramatically, but Earth-specific energy patterns seem particularly reactive to your divine signature. Maybe I shouldn't come back until I have perfect control, Goku suggested reluctantly. Or, 18 interjected, surprising herself with the alternative, maybe I need to get better at helping you maintain balance while you're here. Both Goku and Vados looked at her with surprise. You would be willing to train specifically for that purpose? Vados asked. 18 shrugged, attempting nonchalance despite the significance of her offer. If it means Goku can visit his family more often, and I can spend more time on Earth too, it seems like a reasonable arrangement. The smile that broke across Goku's face was worth any uncertainty she felt about the commitment. Really, 18, you'd do that? Don't make a big deal out of it, she muttered, embarrassed by his obvious gratitude. Such training would be intensive, Vados cautioned. You would need to spend significant time in the divine realm learning to channel and redirect balance energy. I figured as much. 18 met the angel's gaze steadily. I'm not afraid of hard work. As they returned to Goku's home to spend their remaining hours on Earth, 18 contemplated the strange turn her life had taken. She had never sought cosmic responsibility or divine connection, yet somehow found herself embracing both. The realization was unsettling but not entirely unwelcome, as if she had discovered a purpose that had been waiting for her all along. Their final moments on Earth were spent saying difficult goodbyes. Promises were made for future visits, tentative plans discussed for how Goku might maintain his connections to his mortal life while fulfilling his divine role. Through it all, 18 observed the love and resilience of Goku's family, their ability to adapt to even this extreme change in their lives. As Vados prepared to transport them back to the divine realm, Goku took one last look at his home, his expression a complex mixture of sadness and determination. I'll be back soon, he promised Chi-Chi, who nodded bravely despite the tears in her eyes. You better, she replied with forced lightness. God or not, you still have responsibilities here. With those parting words echoing in their minds, Vados activated her staff, and Earth dissolved around them. As they traversed the boundary between mortal and divine realms, 18 felt Goku's energy fluctuate with emotion. Without thinking, she reached out, both physically and through their connection, offering stability and silent understanding. He grasped her hand gratefully, and together they stepped back into the divine realm, changed by their brief return home. and more determined than ever to master the strange new reality they now shared. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, Divine Awakening. The divine realm pulsed with energy had defied mortal comprehension, waves of creation and destruction flowing in eternal harmony through dimensions beyond conventional space-time. Within this cosmic symphony, Goku floated cross-legged in the training nexus. His eyes closed in concentration as golden violet energy swirled around his form. Each breath drew cosmic power into his core, each exhalation released perfectly balanced wavelength that rippled outward through the dimensional pocket. Vados observed from a calculated distance, her ancient eyes detecting patterns invisible to lesser beings. Better, she acknowledged, her melodic voice carrying subtle tones of approval. The harmonic resonance has stabilized at 93%, a significant improvement. Goku opened his eyes, their otherworldly glow momentarily NSIFYING before settling into the now familiar cycling between violet and gold. It feels different after visiting Earth, he admitted, slowly uncrossing his legs to stand within the swirling energy field. More personal somehow. Understandable, Vados replied, tapping her staff lightly against the dimensional floor. Abstract cosmic responsibility becomes more meaningful when you've witnessed its direct impact on those you care about. From her observation chamber adjacent to the training area, Android 18 monitored the energy patterns displayed on holographic screens. 3 weeks had passed since their brief return to Earth, 3 weeks of intensified training for both of them. As promised, 18 had committed herself to understanding and mastering her unique ability to stabilize Goku's divine energy. Spending hours analyzing the complex frequency patterns that connected them. The screens before her displayed a 3-dimensional model of their energy interaction, her own signature. Represented by electric blue lines that intermittently caught and redirected the golden violet waves emanating from Goku. With each successful redirection, the system as a whole became more stable, a river finding its natural course after navigating rocky terrain. Fascinating, murmured a soft voice beside her. 18 turned to find Vados' brother and Beerus's attendant, examining her work with unrestrained curiosity. His unexpected appearance didn't startle her. Angels had a habit of materializing without warning, a quirk she'd grown accustomed to during her time in the divine realm. "What brings you here, she asked, continuing her analysis without breaking concentration. "Curiosity," he replied cheerfully, leaning closer to the displays. "Word travels quickly through divine channels. They say the mortal Saiyan and his cybernetic companion are revolutionizing our understanding of balanced energy manipulation." 18 raised an eyebrow. "Divine gossip. Somehow I expected better from eternal cosmic beings." Laughed, the sound like crystal bells. "Even angels enjoy a good discussion, especially when it concerns unprecedented events." And make no mistake, his expression turned momentarily serious. "What's happening with you and Goku is unprecedented in 12 billion years of cosmic history." Before 18 could respond, an alert flashed across her screens. Goku's energy patterns had suddenly destabilized, creative forces momentarily overwhelming destructive ones in an expanding wave. Without hesitation, she abandoned the conversation and moved swiftly into the training area, where Goku was visibly struggling to contain a surge of golden energy that threatened to escape his control. "Breathe through it," Vados instructed calmly, though she had raised her staff defensively. "Find the counterbalance." 18 stepped directly into Goku's energy field, an act that would have vaporized any ordinary being, and placed her hand on his shoulder. Their connection flared to life instantly. Her systems automatically analyzing, redirecting, and harmonizing the chaotic flow. "Focus on my energy pattern," she instructed, her voice steady despite the massive power surging between them. "Match your rhythm to mine." Goku's eyes locked with hers, desperation giving way to concentration as he followed her guidance. Gradually, the golden flares receded, violet RGY rising to equal levels until perfect balance was restored. "Thanks," he breathed, the tension in his shoulders relaxing. "I almost had it, then something distracted me." "Not distraction," corrected, stepping forward with an enigmatic smile. "Interference." Vados turned sharply toward her brother. "Explain." "Lord Beerus sends his regards," replied, offering a small bow that's How managed to be simultaneously respectful and slightly mocking. He thought perhaps Lord Goku might benefit from stress testing. Beerus did this? Goku asked, understanding dawning. He disrupted my energy from a distance. A small pulse of destruction energy, precisely calibrated to create disharmony in your balance. Whis shrugged elegantly. He was curious to see how you'd respond. 18 crossed her arms, irritation evident. Testing or sabotage? A bit of both, perhaps. Whis turned to his sister. The other gods of destruction are growing, concerned. A new divine entity WITH jurisdiction over both creation and destruction threatens the established order. The established order has always been inefficient, Vados countered, rare emotion coloring her typically detached tone. Separate deities for interlinked cosmic functions creates unnecessary complications. A perspective not universally shared, Whis noted diplomatically before addressing Goku directly. Lord Goku, I should warn you, while the Grand Priest has sanctioned your position, resistance exists among the established divine hierarchy. You would do well to prepare for political complications. Goku rubbed the back of his neck, a charmingly mortal gesture that contrasted with his divine appearance. Politics was never my strong suit. I just want to master this power so I can visit Earth more often without causing problems. A noble but perhaps incomplete goal, Whis suggested. Whether you intended it or not, your ascension has created ripples throughout the divine spheres. Neutrality may not remain an option. After Whis departed, leaving cryptic warnings in his wake, training resumed with renewed intensity. Vados introduced more complex scenarios, forcing Goku to maintain balance, while creating and destroying simultaneously rather than sequentially. A god of balance must perform both functions in perfect harmony, she explained as Goku struggled to manifest a small star will. Simultaneously controlling its natural entropic decay. Not creation followed by destruction, but both existing as complementary aspects of the same process. 18 watched from nearby, ready to intervene if necessary, but increasingly confident in Goku's growing control. The Saiyan warrior had always been a prodigy when it came to mastering new techniques, and his approach to divine power proved no different. What he lacked in theoretical understanding, he compensated for with intuitive brilliance. As the training session concluded, Vados announced a change to their routine. Tomorrow we will begin practical application beyond the controlled environment. The Grand Priest has requested your presence at the Divine Assembly. Divine Assembly? Goku questioned, wiping sweat from his brow. Despite the non-physical nature of their training. What's that? A gathering of cosmic entities that oversee multiversal governance, Vados explained. Typically, it includes gods of destruction, supreme Kais, and their attendants, along with representatives from higher divine echelons. Your official introduction as God of Balance has been scheduled. Goku's expression fell. Sounds like a lot of ceremony and talking. Indeed, Vados agreed with the barest hint of amusement. However, it also represents your first real test in maintaining control among potentially hostile divine energies. Some attendees may attempt to assess your capabilities through provocative means. Like what Beerus did today, 18 realized aloud. Precisely, though likely with greater subtlety and coordination. Vados turned to 18. Your presence has been specifically requested as well. Me, why would they want a mortal at their divine party? Your connection to Lord Goku has become a matter of cosmic interest. Some see it as a potential vulnerability, others as an unprecedented evolution in divine-mortal interaction. Vados's expression remained neutral, but her voice softened slightly. Regardless of external opinions, your stabilizing influence could prove crucial if provocations occur. That evening, as 18 prepared for rest more from psychological habit than physical necessity in the divine realm, she found herself contemplating the strange trajectory her life had taken. From Dr. Gero's unwilling experiment to a peaceful life with Krillin and Marin, and now to this, cosmic politics and divine energy manipulation alongside a Saiyan-turned-god she had once considered an enemy. A gentle knock interrupted her thoughts. Opening the door, she found Goku standing awkwardly in the corridor. His divine aura dimmed to a subtle glow that highlighted rather than obscured his still recognizable features. "Sorry to bother you," he said, genuinely apologetic. "I was wondering if we could talk for a bit." Curious about his unusual request, Goku had never been one for deep conversations, 18 nodded and stepped aside to let him enter. What's on your mind? She asked as he settled into a chair that adjusted its molecular structure to accommodate his divine energy. Tomorrow's meeting has me thinking, he admitted, his expression uncharacteristically serious. About what all this really means. Being a god. Being the god of balance specifically. Goku leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees. Vados keeps teaching me techniques and control, but no one's really explained what I'm supposed to do with this power once I master it. 18 considered this. The gods of destruction eliminate threats to cosmic balance. The Supreme Kai's guide creation. What's between those two roles? Exactly. Goku's eyes lit up, literally brightening with divine energy. What's my actual job? Do I just sit around making sure neither side gets too powerful? Do I intervene in mortal affairs? Create new rules? I have all this power but no instruction manual. The genuine confusion in his voice struck 18 as both endearing and concerning. For all his newfound cosmic awareness, Goku remained fundamentally himself, straightforward, honest, and more interested in practical application than abstract theory. Maybe that's the point, she suggested after a moment's reflection. This position never existed before you. There are no established rules or precedents. You get to define what a god of balance actually does. Goku blinked, clearly having never considered this possibility. You think so? It makes sense. The universe apparently needed something new, something between creation and destruction. You're it, she shrugged. Figure out what balance means to you, and act accordingly. A slow smile spread across Goku's face, that familiar, almost childlike expression of discovery that not even divine transformation had erased. That's actually pretty freeing. Instead of trying to fit some cosmic job description, I can figure out what needs balancing and handle it my own way. Just don't get carried away, 18 cautioned, though she couldn't help returning his smile. Quote, cosmic power comes with cosmic responsibility, as I'm sure someone would say. That's why I'm glad you're in this with me, Goku replied with disarming sincerity. You've always been practical. You'll tell me if I'm messing up. The simple trust in his statement caught 18 off guard. Their relationship had evolved rapidly from reluctant association to working partnership, but this felt like something more, a genuine friendship built on mutual respect and shared experience. Before she could formulate a response that wouldn't sound awkwardly sentimental, an alarm blared throughout the divine complex. The peaceful atmosphere shattered as pulsing red light filled the chamber, accompanied by Vados' voice echoing through dimensional space. Lord Goku, Android 18, your immediate presence is required in the observation nexus. Emergency situation developing. They moved with synchronized urgency, Goku's instant transmission carrying them directly to the nexus, a spherical chamber where countless dimensional windows displayed various regions of the multiverse. Vados stood at the center, her staff projecting an enlarged image of Earth, specifically Kame House on its small island. What's happening? 18 demanded, her attention fixing immediately on the familiar structure where her family resided. Temporal anomaly, Vados replied tersely. Similar to what we encountered during your Earth visit, but significantly larger and still growing. It appears centered directly on your home. 18's synthetic heart seemed to freeze in her chest. The image showed swirling golden violet energy, unmistakably similar to Goku's divine aura, surrounding the small pink house. Even from this dimensional distance, she could see Krillin outside, frantically trying to shield Marin from the strange phenomenon. How is this possible? Goku asked, horror evident in his voice. We're not even there. The connection between you, Vados explained rapidly, manipulating dimensional coordinates with her staff. During your visit to Earth, a resonance pattern was established between your energy and several locations. Your former home, and now Android 18's residence, appear to be focal points where that resonance has intensified. We need to go there now, 18 stated, her tone leaving no room for argument. Agreed, Vados replied, but with caution. Your presence could either stabilize or exacerbate the anomaly. Depending on your control. Goku stepped forward, determination replacing concern. I've been training for exactly this kind of situation. We can handle it. With a precise gesture from Vados, reality shifted around them, and they materialized on the beach of the small island. The situation was worse than the observation window had shown. The anomaly had expanded to envelop nearly the entire island. Reality visibly warping within its influence. Trees existed in multiple states simultaneously, sand particles hovered in complex geometric patterns, and the ocean around the island froze and unfroze in rhythmic pulses. Krillin spotted them immediately, relief flooding his features as he maintained a protective energy shield around himself and Marin. 18. Thank God you're here. This started about an hour ago, just this weird light that kept getting bigger. 18 rushed to her family, passing through the anomaly's outer boundary without difficulty thanks to her unique resonance with the energy involved. As she reached them, Marin launched herself into her mother's arms. Mommy. The air got all sparkly and weird. It's okay, sweetie, 18 soothed, holding her daughter tightly while assessing her condition. We're going to fix it. Meanwhile, Goku and Vados analyzed the anomaly's structure, the angel's staff probing the distortion with precise energy pulses. T.S. is different from the previous manifestation, Vados noted with professional detachment. The creative destructive balance is fluctuating in complex patterns, almost as if it's trying to create something specific. Goku finished, his divine senses perceiving patterns invisible to others. Look at the convergence points. They're not random. 18 joined them after ensuring Krillin would keep Marin at a safe distance. What's causing this? You said these anomalies were from our visit, but that was weeks ago. Time flows differently in different dimensions, Vados explained. What was weeks for us in the divine realm might translate to mere days here. Additionally, the resonance pattern we established appears to have continued developing in our absence. Like an echo getting stronger instead of fading. Goku suggested, circling the anomaly's perimeter. Precisely. The question is, why here specifically? Why now? 18 frowned, her analytical mind processing the variables. My family is here. Goku's family was at the other location. Personal connection seems relevant. Emotional resonance amplifying energy resonance, Vados agreed thoughtfully. Logical, but concerning in its implications. We can theorize later. Goku interrupted, his expression hardening as the anomaly pulsed violently, expanding another meter in all directions. Right now, we need to contain this before it engulfs the whole island. Without further discussion, Goku moved to the center of the distortion, his divine aura flaring as he extended his consciousness into the chaotic energy patterns. 18 positioned herself at the anomaly's edge, ready to stabilize any overflow, while Vados established a dimensional barrier to prevent further expansion. I'm going to try something, Goku called out, his voice carrying strange harmonics as it passed through the distorted space-time. Instead of forcing it back into balance immediately, I want to follow the pattern, see what it's trying to create or destroy. Dangerous, Vados cautioned, but potentially revealing. Goku closed his eyes, extending his hands into the swirling energies. Rather than imposing order, he allowed his consciousness to flow with the chaotic patterns, following their natural trajectory while maintaining just enough control to prevent catastrophic expansion. Through their connection, 18 caught fragments of what Goku perceived, not just energy and matter, but information flowing in complex patterns. Images flickered through her mind. The Tournament of Power Arena, Goku's transformation, the Divine Realm. Her own cybernetic systems interacting with balance energy, all coalescing towards some conclusion her consciousness couldn't quite grasp. It's like it's trying to understand something, she called out. Struggling to articulate the impressions flooding her systems. Analyzing our connection. Not just analyzing, Goku responded, his voice distant as his consciousness delved deeper. Creating a model, a simulation of possibilities. The anomaly's center suddenly contracted, energy densifying into a brilliant point of light. Within that singularity, something began to take form, neither fully physical nor entirely energy, but existing at the boundary between states. Fascinating, Vados breathed, momentarily dropping her clinical detachment. It's a dimensional echo, a shadow in intelligence formed from the resonance between your energies. The light pulsed one final time, then stabilized into a hovering orb approximately 1 meter in diameter. Its surface rippled with golden, violet patterns remarkably similar to Goku's aura, while its core contained shifting geometric structures reminiscent of 18's energy signature. As suddenly as it had appeared, the surrounding anomaly collapsed. reality snapping back to normal around the floating orb. Trees returned to singular states, sand settled back onto the beach, and the ocean resumed its natural rhythms. What is that thing? Krillin asked, cautiously approaching now that the immediate danger had passed. I'm not entirely certain, Vados admitted, studying the orb with intense interest. But it appears to be a sentient energy construct created from the unique interaction between Lord Goku's divine energy and Android 18's cybernetic resonance. Semi-sentient, 18 repeated skeptically. You're saying this thing is alive? In a manner of speaking. Not alive as organic beings understand it, but possessing a form of awareness. Vados circled the orb, her staff collecting data. It appears to be processing information, learning from its environment. Goku approached the strange creation, fascination overriding caution. As he drew near, the orb pulsed in response, its surface patterns shifting to more closely mirror his energy signature. It recognizes you, 18 observed, moving to stand beside him. The orb immediately responded to her presence as well, its patterns reorganizing to incorporate elements from both of them. This is unprecedented, Vados stated, genuine amazement coloring her typically reserved tone. A spontaneous manifestation of semi-sentient balance energy, born from the resonance between divine and mortal energies. Is it dangerous? Krillin asked practically, still keeping Marin safely behind him. Unknown, Vados replied honestly. But potentially significant. Its manifestation may represent an important evolution in the nature of balance energy itself. Goku reached out tentatively, his fingers stopping just short of the orb's surface. It doesn't feel threatening, more like curious. When his hand finally made contact, the orb's surface yielded slightly, creating a connection rather than a barrier. Through this touch, Goku's expression shifted from curiosity to wonder. It has memories, he said softly. Or something like memories. Impressions of the tournament, my transformation, our training sessions. It's like it formed from fragments of our shared experiences. 18 hesitantly extended her own hand, experiencing a similar connection as her fingers touched the orb's surface. Unlike Goku's divine awareness, her cybernetic systems provided a more structured interpretation, like reading fragmented code that somehow conveyed emotions and sensory data alongside raw information. It's collecting data, she realized. Learning about its environment, about us. About the connection between us. A nascent intelligence, Vados concluded. Neither divine nor mortal, but something between, much like the position Lord Goku now occupies. So what do we do with it? Krillin asked, practical as ever despite the cosmic strangeness before him. We should take it back to the divine realm for further study, Vados suggested. Its nature makes it potentially unsuitable for extended existence in mortal dimensions. Wait, 18 interrupted, still connected to the orb. It's communicating something. Through their joined connection, both she and Goku received a complex impression. Not words exactly, but a structured intention that their minds interpreted as a specific request. It wants to stay here, Goku translated, surprise evident in his voice. Not permanently, but it wants to learn about Earth, about mortal existence. That would be inadvisable, Vados stated firmly. An uncontained manifestation of balance energy have unpredictable effects on the surrounding environment. What if it wasn't uncontained? 18 suggested, an idea forming as she processed the orb's communications. My systems are already adapted to balance energy. I could potentially maintain a stabilizing link while it remains here. That would require you to stay as well, Vados pointed out. Your training in the divine realm would be interrupted. Not necessarily. 18 turned to the angel, conviction growing. You said time flows differently between realms. What if we established a rotation? I spend time training in the divine realm, then return here to monitor the orb's development. Goku could continue his primary training without interruption. Vados considered this proposal with careful deliberation. Such an arrangement would be unusual but not impossible. It would also provide valuable data on how balance energy manifests and develops in a mortal environment. Is that safe for you and Marin? Goku asked Krillin, genuine concern evident despite his excitement about the orb's potential. Krillin looked uncertain but resolute. If 18 can keep it stable, we'll manage. We've dealt with stranger things before. He glanced at his wife. But this is your call. This whole divine connection thing has already taken you away from us more than we expected. 18 felt the weight of multiple responsibilities pulling in different directions, her family, her training commitment, and now this strange new entity that seemed inextricably linked to her and Goku. The easy path would be to let Vados take the orb to the divine realm, removing one complication from her already complex situation. Yet something about abandoning this unprecedented creation felt wrong. It had formed from the connection between her and Goku, a physical manifestation of the strange bond they now shared. More importantly, it had expressed a desire to learn, to understand the mortal world that had given rise to both of them before their respective transformations. I'll stay for a few days, she decided finally. Establish protocols for containing and monitoring it. Then we can reevaluate based on how it develops. Vados nodded in acceptance. A reasonable compromise. I shall inform the Grand Priest of this development and your decision. With the immediate crisis resolved and plans established for monitoring the orb, Vados returned to the divine realm, leaving Goku and 18 to explain the situation more fully to Krillin and determine appropriate safety measures. As night fell over the small island, casting long shadows across the beach, 18 found a moment of quiet reflection while Goku entertained Marin with small, controlled demonstrations of his powers, creating tiny butterflies from pure energy that fluttered around the lighted child before dissolving into sparkles of light. He's good with her, Krillin observed, joining his wife on the porch steps. Different than before, more patient somehow. 18 nodded, watching the interaction with mixed emotions. Godhood has changed him, but not in the ways you might expect. He sees things more deeply now, understands connections that were invisible to him before. And what about you? Krillin asked gently. How has all this changed you? It was a profound question that 18 had avoided examining too closely. I'm not sure, she admitted after a thoughtful pause. My systems have adapted to process energy that should be impossible for a mortal to comprehend. My perception has expanded in ways I can't fully explain. She looked down at her hands, outwardly unchanged, yet fundamentally different in their capabilities. But I'm still me, still your wife, still Marin's mother. Krillin covered her hand with his own. I never doubted that part. His expression grew more serious. But this connection with Goku, this divine business, it's becoming more permanent than we first thought, isn't it? 18 couldn't deny the truth in his observation. What had begun as an unwanted side effect now seemed increasingly like a fundamental alteration to her existence, one that couldn't simply be resolved and forgotten. I think it might be, she acknowledged quietly. I'm sorry, Krillin. I never wanted to complicate our lives this way. Hey, he squeezed her hand reassuringly. Complicated comes with the territory in this family. We've handled androids, Cell, Majin Buu, and universe-threatening tournaments. We'll handle divine energy orbs and cosmic connections too. His unwavering support brought a genuine smile to her face. How did I get lucky enough to find you? I ask myself the same question every day, he replied with a warm grin. Besides, there are worse things than having your wife connected to the new god of balance. Great job security, for one thing. Their moment of connection was interrupted by Marin's excited squeal as one of Goku's energy butterflies landed on her nose, causing her to giggle uncontrollably. The simple joy of the SC. A powerful divine being entertaining a child with casual miracles, highlighted the strange juxtaposition their lives had become, where cosmic forces and mundane happiness existed side by side. Later that evening, after Marin had been tucked into bed with promises that the pretty ball of light would still be there in the morning, 18 found Goku sitting on the beach, observing the orb as it hovered peacefully over the gentle waves. The mysterious entity seemed to be absorbing information from its environment, its surface patterns shifting subtly as it processed the rhythmic sound of the ocean, the salt in the air, the moonlight reflecting off the water. It's learning, Goku commented as she approached. I can feel it building a framework for understanding this world. 18 sat beside him on the sand, her enhanced vision allowing her to perceive the complex energy patterns flowing within the orb. What do you think it wants? Beyond just learning. Purpose, Goku replied without hesitation. Same thing I've been struggling with since this transformation. What does it mean to exist as something new in the universe? What role should it play? The parallel hadn't occurred to 18, but it made perfect sense. Both Goku and this strange manifestation represented unprecedented forms of existence, both straddling boundaries between established categories, both seeking to understand their place in the cosmic order. Tomorrow I need to return to the divine realm, Goku continued after a contemplative silence. The divine assembly can't be postponed, especially with news of this development spreading. I understand, 18 assured him. I'll monitor the orb here. If anything changes, Vados can relay messages. Goku turned to face her directly, the moonlight casting ethereal high lights across his transformed features. Are you sure you'll be okay? This arrangement means more separation for us, for our training. The concern in his voice touched her unexpectedly. Their connection had grown beyond mere practicality into something resembling friendship, perhaps even partnership in the truest sense. I'll be fine, she replied confidently. Besides, this way I get to spend time with my family while still fulfilling my cosmic responsibilities. Best of both worlds. I envy you that, Goku admitted with a wistful smile. My situation doesn't allow for such a balance yet. You'll get there, 18 assured him. Your control improves every day. They fell into comfortable silence, watching as the orb continued its quiet observation of the night sea. After several minutes, Goku spoke again, his voice carrying unusual hesitation. 18, do you ever wonder why this connection formed between us specifically? Out of everyone at the tournament, why did my transformation resonate with you? The question had haunted her as well, though she rarely allowed herself to dwell on it. Vados says my cybernetic nature created a unique buffer for divine energy. A coincidence of compatible systems. Maybe, Goku conceded, but I've been thinking about it differently lately. What if it's not just about compatible systems, but compatible purposes? What do you mean? We both know what it's like to be transformed into something beyond our control or choosing, he explained, his gaze turning contemplative. You with Dr. Gero's experiments, me with this divine ascension. We both had to reconcile who we were before with what we became after. The parallel struck 18 forcefully. She had never considered their experiences comparable, yet the fundamental similarity was undeniable. Both had undergone profound transformations that altered the very nature of their existence. Both had struggled to maintain their core identity despite these changes. You might be onto something, she acknowledged. Though I'd say your transformation was considerably more beneficial than mine. Was it? Goku questioned seriously. Your transformation gave you strength, intelligence, and eventually led you to Krillin and Marin, a family who loves you completely. Mine has separated me from my family, burdened me with cosmic responsibility, and fundamentally changed how I interact with the universe. When you put it that way, 18 found herself smiling at his unexpected insight. Maybe we're both just making the best of paths we didn't choose. Exactly. Goku's face brightened. And maybe that's why this connection works, because we both understand what it means to become something else while trying to remain ourselves. The conversation shifted something subtle in 18's perception of their relationship. What had begun as an unwanted connection forced upon them by circumstance now seemed increasingly like a meaningful bond, one based on shared experience and mutual understanding that transcended their differences. Morning arrived with golden light spilling across the small island, finding 18 already awake and monitoring the orb's behavior as it interacted with its environment. Overnight, the entity had developed more complex patterns, occasionally forming tendrils of energy that delicately explored nearby objects before withdrawing. Goku joined her after a brief meditation session. His divine aura carefully modulated to minimal visibility, a skill he had been practicing diligently to appear less conspicuous in mortal settings. Any changes? He asked, observing the orb with genuine curiosity. Increased interaction with environmental stimuli, 18 reported clinically. It seems particularly interested in organic matter, plants, insects, the ecosystem generally. Makes sense. Goku nodded. Balance energy naturally resonates with living systems. They're perfect examples of creative and destructive forces working in harmony. Before their conversation could continue, a familiar ripple in reality announced Vados' arrival. The angel materialized gracefully, her expression more serious than usual. Lord Goku, we must depart immediately, she announced without preamble. The divine assembly has been moved forward in response to recent developments. Your presence is required within the hour by divine time standards. What recent developments? 18 questioned sharply. The orb. Partially. Vados acknowledged. News of the spontaneous manifestation has indeed spread rapidly through divine channels. However, there are additional complications. What kind of complications? Goku asked, already sensing the answer would be unpleasant. Political ones, Vados replied with characteristic understatement. Several gods of Destruct, Qian have formally protested your position, claiming the concentration of both creative and destructive authority in a single entity threatens the cosmic balance rather than enhancing it. They're afraid of losing power. 18 translated bluntly. Their concerns are not entirely unfounded, Vados corrected with diplomatic precision. The divine hierarchy has maintained separation of powers for billions of years. Lord Goku's existence challenges fundamental assumptions about cosmic governance. Goku sighed, resignation replacing his earlier good mood. I never asked for any of this. I just NTED to win the tournament and save Universe 7. Intention is irrelevant in matters of cosmic consequence, Vados reminded him gently. Reality has been altered by your transformation, regardless of how it came about. Fine. Goku straightened, his casual demeanor giving way to the more dignified bearing he had gradually developed during his divine training. Let's go face the music. He turned to 18, obvious concern in his expression. Will you be okay monitoring the orb alone? I'm not sure how long this assembly will last. I've handled worse, she assured him confidently. Focus on your divine politics. I'll keep things stable here. With a final nod of farewell, Goku placed his hand on Vados' staff, and they vanished in a flash of dimensional displacement, leaving 18 alone with the mysterious orb in her thoughts. The day passed uneventfully, with 18 establishing monitoring protocols and explaining the situation more thoroughly to Krillin and Master Roshi. The orb continued. Its passive observation and occasional interaction with the environment, showing particular interest in Marin's play activities but maintaining a respectful distance as instructed. By evening, however, 18 noticed subtle changes in the orb's behavior. Its surface patterns began cycling more rapidly, and occasional pulses of energy emanated from its core in complex sequences. What's got you so agitated? She murmured, approaching the entity with careful attention. Through their connection, she sensed not danger but something like anticipation, as if the orb were preparing for something significant. Before she could investigate further, the peaceful night was shattered by a massive tear in reality directly above the island. Unlike Vados' precise dimensional transitions, this rupture appeared violent and uncontrolled, spilling chaotic energy into the surrounding atmosphere. 18 immediately moved to protect the house and its occupants, creating a defensive perimeter while simultaneously reaching out to the orb through their connection. To her surprise, the entity responded by positioning itself between the dimensional tear and the island, its surface hardening into a protective shell. From the rupture emerged a figure unlike any 18 had encountered before, humanoid in general shape but composed of shifting negative space, as if a person-shaped hole had been cut into reality itself. Where features should be, only darkness existed, occasionally illuminated by flashes of what appeared to be stars or distant galaxies. Interesting, the entity spoke, its voice echoing as if from vast distances. The divine's pet mortal and their accidental offspring. How domestically charming. 18 maintained her defensive stance, cybernetic systems automatically analyzing the intruder for weaknesses. Who and what are you? Names are such limited constructs, the entity replied dismissively. But for simplicity's sake, you may call me Void. I am, let's say, an interested observer in recent cosmic developments. You're not from this universe, 18 stated rather than asked, her systems detecting energy patterns entirely foreign to known dimensional signatures. How perceptive. Indeed, I exist beyond your familiar multiversal structure. Void drifted closer, studying the orb with evident curiosity. This manifestation, however, this is unexpected. A tertiary consciousness, emerging from harmonic resonance between divine and enhanced mortal energies. Fascinating. Without warning, Void extended a hand-like appendage toward the orb. 18 moved to intercept, but found hers. LF momentarily frozen in place by some invisible force. Patience, artificial one, Void chided. I merely wished to examine this anomaly. The orb, however, had its own response to the intrusion. As Void's appendage approached, the orb's surface flared brilliantly, golden violet energy lashing out in protective patterns that forced the interdimensional entity to withdraw. It defends itself, Void noted with something like approval. Good. Survival instinct is fundamental to evolving consciousness. Released from whatever force had held her, 18 positioned herself between Void and the orb. Whatever you want, you're not getting it here. This entity is under my protection. Your protection? Void seemed amused by the concept. You barely understand what it is, let alone what it might become. I understand enough to know you're not welcome here, 18 countered, gathering energy for a defensive strike if necessary. Such territorial instincts from a synthetic being, Void observed. Perhaps there's more humanity left in you than your creator intended. Before 18 could respond, a new dimensional rupture appeared, this one precisely controlled and radiating divine authority. Goku emerged, his divine aura flaring with barely contained power, followed closely by Vados, whose typically serene expression had hardened into dangerous focus. Step away from them, Goku commanded, his voice carrying harmonics that resonated through multiple dimensions. Now, Void turned toward the newcomers, darkness shifting where a face might be. Ah, the anomalous god arrives. Right on schedule. Who are you? Goku demanded, moving to stand beside 18 in a unified defensive front. How did you breach the dimensional barriers around Earth? Questions, Void sighed theatrically. So typical of nascent divine entities, all authority and no perspective. Vados stepped forward, her staff glowing with ancient power. You exist outside our multiversal structure. An outer being. Your kind were forbidden from interfering in our dimensional plane after the schism. Forbidden by whom? Void challenged. The so-called Grand Priest. The Omni King. Their authority ends at the bow. Underies of your limited reality construct. Throughout this exchange, 18 noticed the orb pulsing with increased intensity, its surface patterns shifting in what appeared to be distress or agitation. Through their connection, she sensed confusion and something like fear, emotions becoming more defined as the entity responded to the tension surrounding it. What do you want? Goku asked directly, cutting through the cryptic exchange. To observe, Void replied simply. Your ascension has created ripples beyond your comprehension, possibilities that interest certain factions in the outer dimensions. Factions? 18 questioned sharply. Did you think your petty divine politics were unique? Void's form rippled with what might have been laughter. The outer dimensions have their own conflicts, their own competing interests. Some see your transformation as potentially useful. I'm not interested in being anyone's pawn, Goku stated firmly. Outer dimension or otherwise. Noble sentiment, Void acknowledged. But involvement isn't always optional when reality itself is being rewritten. With startling suddenness, Void moved, not toward them but toward the orb, darkness extant. Ding in multiple directions simultaneously. Goku reacted with divine speed, interposing himself and releasing a controlled burst of balance energy that forced the entity back. Impressive reflexes, Void noted, apparently unharmed. But ultimately futile. I've seen what I came to observe. The dimensional tear widened behind the entity, cosmic darkness spilling through the breach. We'll meet again, God of Balance. Sooner than you might expect. With those ominous words, Void retreated into the rupture, which sealed itself with a final pulse of alien energy. In the tense silence that followed, 18 turned to Goku and Vados. What the hell was that? Trouble, Vados replied grimly. Significant trouble, an outer being, Goku elaborated, his divine perception still scanning for any trace of the visitor. Vados explained them during the divine assembly. They exist beyond the multiverse structure that contains our 12 universes. I gathered that much, 18 said impatiently. But why come here? What interest could they possibly have in us? In us? Perhaps little, Vados suggested, her staff probing the residual energy signatures left by the dimensional breach. In the unprecedented cosmic evolution represented by Lord Goku's transformation and its consequences. Potentially enormous. Goku approached the orb, which had contracted slightly during the confrontation. With gentle energy, he established a connection, sensing its distress. It was afraid, he realized aloud. It recognized Void as something fundamentally different, a threat to its developing consciousness. The orb perceived what even most gods cannot, Vados confirmed. Outer beings exist according to principles entirely alien to our reality. Their very presence disrupts the natural laws that govern our existence. Which explains why they were forbidden from interfering, 18 concluded. Though that didn't seem to stop this one. The barriers between dimensional planes have rules and exceptions, just like any other system. Vados explained. Moments of significant cosmic change, like Lord Goku's ascension, can create temporary weaknesses that determined entities might exploit. Goku turned to face them both, his expression uncharacteristically grave. The Divine Assembly was already tense before this development. Now with confirmation of outer being interest in our situation, political complications have multiplied exponentially. Vados finished for him. Several gods of destruction are already arguing that your unorthodox ascension has created a dangerous vulnerability in our cosmic defenses. That's ridiculous, 18 protested. Goku's transformation might be unprecedented, but he's still one of us, still fundamentally connected to this reality. A perspective not universally shared, Vados noted with diplomatic restraint. Some divine entities view any disruption to established cosmic hierarchies as inherently threatening. Goku sighed, running a hand through his still shimmering hair. So what happens now? The Grand Priest has ordered a comprehensive security review of all dimensional boundaries, Vados reported. Additionally, he requests that both you and the orb return to the divine realm immediately for protective monitoring. Both of us, 18 questioned. I thought the plan was for me to stay here with the orb while Goku continued his primary training. That arrangement was deemed acceptable before an outer being breached dimensional security specifically to observe you both, Vados replied with gentle firmness. The situation has changed. 18 looked toward the house where her family slept, unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding mere meters away. The thought of another extended separation weighed heavily, but the potential danger of making her family targets for interdimensional entities, weighed even more. How long? She asked finally. Unknown, Vados admitted, but the Grand Priest has authorized more flexible visitation protocols given the circumstances. You would be permitted regular returns to Earth under appropriate security measures. Goku placed a supportive hand on 18's shoulder. I'm sorry, 18. I never meant to drag you or your family into danger. You didn't, she countered firmly. Whatever this is, it's bigger than any of us. The connection formed without either of us choosing it. Perhaps, Vados interjected thoughtfully. But not without purpose. The universe rarely creates such significant bonds without reason, particularly when divine energy is involved. As they deliberated next steps, the orb drifted closer, its surface patterns cycling through increasingly complex sequences. Through their respective connections, both Goku and 18 sensed something like determination from the entity, a desire to communicate something important. It wants us to understand something, Goku murmured, focusing on the impressions flowing through their connection. 18 nodded, her cybernetic systems translating the abstract concepts into more structured form. It's showing us patterns, connections between events. Together, they interpreted the orb's communication, a sequence linking Goku's transformation, their connection, the orb's manifestation, and now Void's appearance. Not random occurrences, but interconnected events following some larger pattern neither of them fully comprehended. It sees a bigger picture. Goku realized with growing amazement. It's processing information across a broader spectrum than either of us can perceive individually. Because it exists as a manifestation of our connection. 18 theorized. Neither fully divine nor fully mortal, but something between, with perspective on both. Vados observed this exchange with keen interest. If this entity has indeed developed pattern recognition capabilities beyond conventional consciousness, its value may extend far beyond an interesting anomaly. It's trying to help us understand something, Goku insisted, still connected to the orb. Something about why all this is happening. Through their joined consciousness, a final impression formed. Not words exactly, but a concept their minds translated as, purpose emerges from pattern. Balance requires both perspectives. I think, 18 said slowly, processing the complex download of information, it's suggesting that none of this is accidental. My connection to your transformation, its own manifestation, even Void's appearance, all part of some larger pattern we don't yet understand. and that understanding this pattern is crucial to fulfilling my role as God of balance. Goku concluded, the implications settling heavily upon him. Vados tapped her staff lightly against the ground, bringing their attention back to immediate concerns. Fascinating metaphysical insights notwithstanding, we must address practical security matters. The Grand Priest awaits your decision. 18 looked once more toward the house, then back to the orb and Goku. The weight of cosmic responsibility pulled against family commitment, yet somehow both felt increasingly like aspects of the same journey rather than competing obligations. I'll come to the divine realm, she decided finally. But I want Krillin and Marin to have protection while I'm gone, and I want regular visitation rights, not just brief check-ins. The Grand Priest has already authorized protective measures for your family, Vados assured her. And more substantial visitation periods can be arranged, particularly as Lord Goku's control continues to improve. With arrangements agreed upon, they moved toward the house to explain the situation to Krillin. The orb followed, hovering just behind them like a curious child, which, in many ways, it was, a new consciousness learning about a complex and sometimes dangerous universe. As dawn approached, final preparations were made. Krillin, though concerned, understood the gravity of the situation after having the interdimensional threat explained. Marin was told her mother needed to help Mr. Goku with important work, but would visit often, a simplified truth the child accepted with surprising resilience. As Vados prepared for dimensional transit, 18 found a quiet moment with Goku away from the others. This isn't how I expected any of this to go, she admitted. Cosmic politics, interdimensional threats, sentient energy orbs. Me neither. Goku agreed with a rueful smile. I just wanted to be strong enough to protect everyone. Now I'm not sure if my transformation is protecting the universe or endangering it. Maybe it's both, 18 suggested pragmatically. Change is rarely purely good or bad, it's how we respond to it that matters. Goku looked at her with newfound appreciation. You know, for someone who claims to hate philosophy, you're pretty good at it. Don't tell anyone, she replied with the ghost of a smile. I have a reputation to maintain. As the first rays of sunlight crested the horizon, Vados signaled that preparations were complete. The orb positioned itself between Goku and 18, its surface patterns cycling through golden-violet sequences that somehow conveyed both apprehension and determination, emotions becoming increasingly defined as its consciousness continued to develop. With a final farewell to her family and a promise to return soon, 18 placed her hand on Vados' staff. Goku did the same, while the orb hovered directly above the staff's crystal, establishing its own connection to the dimensional transit. The divine realm awaits, Vados announced formally. As D. owes your continued evolution as God of balance, Lord Goku. And perhaps, she added with a meaningful glance at 18 and the orb, the evolution of something entirely new in cosmic history. Reality shifted around them, Earth dissolving into streams of multidimensional energy as they traversed the boundaries between mortal and divine realms. Through this transition, 18 felt the connection between herself, Goku, and the orb strengthen. Three fundamentally different types of consciousness united by circumstance, necessity, and increasingly, by choice. Whatever lay ahead, divine politics, interdimensional threats, or cosmic revelations, they would face it together, each bringing their unique perspective to the challenging balance between mortal understanding and divine responsibility. For in this unprecedented convergence of energies and consciousness, perhaps lay the key to something the multiverse had never seen before, a truly balanced approach to cosmic governance, informed by both divine power and mortal wisdom. As the divine realm materialized around them, its vast impossible architecture stretching beyond conventional dimensions, 18 felt a strange sense of coming home, not to a place, but to a purpose. Whatever role she was meant to play in this cosmic drama, she would face it with the same determination that had carried her through every other transformation in her extraordinary life. The God of balance, his cybernetic companion, and their sentient energy offspring had arrived, and the multiverse would never be quite the same again. Chapter 2 End.